Hello, everyone. Good morning and happy Tuesday. My name is Elena Riley, and thank you very much for joining me here at the Alert Center, where I bring you all of our top headlines every weekday morning. So let's head into our top one this morning here. All right. Well, Dick Cheney, a former U.S. vice president and Nebraska native, has died at 84 years old. Cheney was the 46th vice president and served under President George W. Bush from 2001 to 2009. The Associated Press calls him one of the most powerful and polarizing vice presidents in U.S. history. Well, he was known as a leading advocate for the invasion of Iraq, that's according to AP. And while he was a former representative in Wyoming, he was actually born in Lincoln. Well, he is survived by his wife, Lynn, his daughters, Mary and Liz, and then 7 grandchildren. Now to more headlines. Governor Jim Pillen made the announcement during a news conference yesterday afternoon that Nebraska State Treasurer Tom Breezy is stepping down. Fremont Mayor Joey Spellerberg is his replacement, and Spellerberg said his resignation in his current position will be in effect at midnight tomorrow, and he will be sworn in as state treasurer on Thursday. Well, Breezy has held the job for 2 years, and he served as a state senator for 7 years. He says he needs to spend more time at home, and he noted that he lives 110 miles away from Lincoln. Well, the changeup comes hours after former state senator Julie Slama announced that she would run for the office. And the Fremont Council president, that's Dev Sukram, will assume the role of mayor there. Governor Jim Pillen said yesterday that ICE detainees are expected to arrive at the former work ethic camp in McCook, Nebraska, as early as today. And Pillen said there will be up to 200 detainees housed there as part of Phase 1 of the Department of Homeland Security's plans for the facility. And he says the facility will likely hit its cap of 300 detainees by the end of the year. Well, the McCook facility required the transfer of nearly 200 inmates, that was in recent weeks, to make way for Homeland Security detainees. And First Alert 6 Investigates has been looking into where these inmates ended up. Of the 193 male inmates housed at the facility on August 20th, 172 remain in custody at different facilities. That's according to new data compiled by our team. And Homeland Security said it will pay the state $2.5 million monthly under a 2-year contract. Ooh, let's go back here. Alrighty, under a 2-year contract for the center. Well, the governor believes the deal could generate $14 million annually for Nebraska. And today, voters in Valley will take part in a special mail-in recall election for 2 city officials. Voters will decide if Mayor Cindy Grove and City Council President John Batcher will stay in their current roles. Grove is accused of violating open meeting laws and creating a hostile work environment, and Batcher is accused of putting special interests ahead of his job as a public servant. Well, if you're participating, you must return your ballots to one of the 3 locations by 5 p.m. Today. And that's 12220 West Center Road in Omaha, 15505 West Maple Road in Omaha, or 2100 Reading Plaza in Elkhorn. So you have 3 options to drop off those ballots. And there were 689 verified signatures needed to prompt a recall election for Grove and 367 for Batcher. Valley has 2,742 registered voters, with a recall decided by a simple majority. Well, and next up, today Omaha City Council is set to accept a bid to repair an eyesore at one of the city's busiest intersections. The bid is for about $250,000 to repair a damaged fence at the Omaha Public Library's Swanson branch near 90th and Dodge. That's in central Omaha. First Alert 6 previously reported on the issue back in March and found that it was posing a traffic hazard for drivers. And at the time, we saw holes in the fence. You just saw that earlier. Wow, a downed light pole as well, and car parts from crashes in the area. Well, other items on the agenda include updating the city's ordinance concerning private pools and a proposed parking garage downtown, as well as a public hearing on an ordinance involving backyard chickens and other fowl here in Omaha. Well, the council meets at 2 p.m. most Tuesdays, and their meetings are live streamed on the city's website if you can't make it. Well, my last headline this morning is that the Douglas County Board of Commissioners is expected to consider helping distribute funding to help local food pantries today. And the board tells First Alert 6 that about $200,000 would be divided evenly to 8 nonprofits across the county. And officials add that the money would complement the City of Omaha's food drive, which runs through tomorrow at 12 different locations. And the citywide drive began after the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services shared that it would pause SNAP benefits. The Pottawatomie County Board of Supervisors is also set to discuss and possibly decide on starting its own food drive. Now we'll head here to First Alert 6, where we can find all of these top headlines. This is my web story, 6 Things You Need to Know. Of course, today is Tuesday, November 4th. If you want to join me there at about 6 a.m. every morning, I bring this to you, as well as this live stream at about 8 a.m. every weekday morning as well. Well, thank you very much for joining me, and have a great start to your Tuesday.